Hello, Crosby and Barrett Station. This is Keith Moore, the Superintendent of Crosby Schools. Thank you for taking a few minutes of your time to review this presentation with me. As Crosby ISD prepares to transition to 4 elementary campuses serving 1st through 5th grade students, the school district must develop attendance zones for the very first time in its history. This is a significant time in the history of our community as we attempt to respect our tradition but prepare for our future by planning for 4 1st through 5th grade neighborhood elementary schools scheduled to open in the fall of 2016. A little over 2 years ago, the community of Crosby made this task much more manageable by passing the 2013 bond. If you drive down FM 2100 or through the current CHS campus, it is easy to see the evidence of this bond in 1, the new CHS, and 2, to the additions to Cougar Stadium. What is less visible is the positive impacts that this bond has on our elementary campuses. Every elementary campus is currently either at or over capacity. The support from our community of the 2013 bond will allow us to move the 6th, 7th, and 8th grades into our new middle school in the current CHS building. And by the middle school moving to the current CHS building, we can use the existing middle school building to become our 4th 1st through 5th grade neighborhood elementary school set to open in the fall of 2016. We know where all of the buildings are, but the more difficult part is to determine which students will attend each of the 4 elementary schools. First off, these changes will take effect at the start of the 2016-2017 school year. There will be no changes to our grade structures in this upcoming school year. Secondly, these attendance zones apply only to students in grades 1 through 5. Pre-K and kindergarten students will still attend Crosby Kindergarten. 6th through 8th grade students will go to Crosby Middle School at the current CHS building in the fall of 2016, and all 9th through 12th grade students will attend the new Crosby High School. To assist this process, Crosby ISD has hired population and survey analysts, known as PASA, a demographic consulting company specializing in school district enrollment projections, to conduct a study to fully understand where the current Crosby ISD students live and where future students are projected to live. By understanding the potential for future growth in certain parts of the district, the community can wisely plan attendance zones that can remain stable over time. The demographic update, as well as the preliminary attendance zone options that are included in this presentation, have been presented to the Board of Trustees and can be accessed on the CISD website. In January of 2013, the Crosby ISD School Board took a proactive step for the future of Crosby ISD schools and unanimously authorized me to transition our 1st through 5th grades into a neighborhood school structure. Why did the board make the decision to transition our elementary schools away from our dual grade structure? And what are the advantages and disadvantages of moving to neighborhood schools? Well, let's start with the disadvantages. By moving to neighborhood elementary schools, our 1st through 5th grade students will be split into 4 neighborhood campuses. That means that our kids will no longer go to 1st through 5th grade with every other kid in the district. This is a significant disadvantage and was recognized when the decision was made to move to neighborhood schools. So what are the reasons for moving to 4 neighborhood elementary schools? The most significant advantage is the strengthening of our academic program. It becomes much easier to align instruction for the students in their 1st through 5th grade years when their program of instruction is under the leadership of one principal for 5 years instead of 3. Their 1st grade teacher will be on the same campus as their 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade teacher. This allows for conversations and relationships that are extremely difficult to foster in the dual grade structure. The next advantage is our ability to address population growth. As of last year, the Crosby area was the second fastest growing in the Houston area by percent increase in population. This increase has stretched our existing campuses to their capacity. We see no signs of the population increases slowing down. The neighborhood school structure will allow us to manage enrollments to maximize the use of each building, and when these buildings reach their capacity, it becomes much easier to add another neighborhood elementary school in the future versus trying to figure out how to keep adding students to the current dual-grade campuses. Next are relationships. We are very proud of our current dual-grade campuses. They have served Crosby well for a number of years, but students will no longer have to learn a new campus, a new principal, counselor, nurse, librarian, etc. every 2 years. Our staff will better know our students and families. Relationships between teachers, administrators, students, and parents are the key to a great school system. The next advantage is efficiency. There are many efficiencies that come with this move, but to keep this presentation as brief as possible, I will focus on transportation. Let's take a third grader that on the far south side of town rides the bus. Currently, we have to go to the far south side of town to pick up this student to take him or her to our third grade campus, which is on the far north side of town. If we simply multiply this scenario by thousands of students each day, we begin to see significant inefficiencies in our own system. And not only will the district save dollars in transportation that can be reallocated to instruction, but students will spend less time on their buses, which means not waking up quite so early in the mornings and not getting home quite so late in the afternoons. While every effort will be made to zone students to the elementary school nearest to their home, it will be unavoidable that some will not be zoned to their closest elementary school. The current location of our elementary schools does not allow us to establish a true neighborhood school scenario for everyone. While we attempt to place students in the schools nearest to their home, we must also make efforts to maximize the use of every school building. Another advantage is convenience for our parents. Let's use another example. If you currently have a first, third, and fifth grade child and you drive them to school, you have to make your way to 3 campuses that are spread across Crosby and Barrett Station every morning and pick them up every afternoon. And let's not even get into trying to make their programs such as Meet the Teacher nights and other programs throughout the year. Another advantage is increased parental involvement. One of our hopes is that this transition will allow for more parental involvement. It is difficult to establish relationships with the campus when our children move to a new one every 2 years. Structures such as PTAs are difficult to establish when we are moving to a new campus every other year. I began working diligently with my staff in the spring of 2015 to establish 4 first through 5th grade elementary campuses. These campuses will be Barrett Elementary School, Crosby Elementary School, located in the current middle school building, Drew Elementary School, and Newport Elementary School. As we entered this process, our first goal was to let our teaching staff know as soon as possible what campuses they would be teaching at in the fall of 2016. With input from the teachers, my administrative staff worked with the 4 campus principals to establish 4 diverse, talented, and enthusiastic sets of teachers. The teachers were notified this last spring of their 2016 and 2017 campus assignments. Our hope is that by knowing where they will be over a year ahead of time, they will be able to not only have a great 2015 and 2016 school year, but also plan for a smooth transition into the 2016-2017 school year. The next and perhaps most difficult part of the process will be to determine the boundaries of the attendance zones that will determine where 1st through 5th grade students will go to school. As I mentioned earlier, Crosby ISD contracted with PASA to analyze Crosby and Barrett Station to provide population information which will be used in establishing the 4 1st through 5th grade attendance zones. This information was presented to the Crosby ISD School Board on April the 23rd of 2015. At this meeting, each board member appointed 2 citizens to serve on a zoning planning committee. The purpose of this committee is to analyze the data presented by PASA and provide feedback to the superintendent of schools, myself, who will ultimately make a recommendation to the Crosby ISD School Board. The first meeting of this committee was on June the 30th of 2015. On the following slides, you will see the information gathered by PASA and an explanation of the various scenarios presented. As of now, these scenarios are a starting point for discussion for the Zoning Planning Committee. So let's take a look at what PASA's research into our community tells us. This is a map of Crosby ISD showing the locations of the 4 future elementary campuses in blue and the outlines of the planning units in red. The projections of future student enrollment are grouped by planning unit, and these planning units are then used as building blocks to create potential attendance zones. The location of the schools is the first place to start when considering designing attendance zones for the first time. While it would be nice to be able to pick up a school and move it to a more convenient location, we must plan around the locations of each school when considering the factors that are taken into considerations in these scenarios: geographically logical boundaries, short-term and long-term facility utilization, reducing transportation time and cost, and traffic patterns. The next series of maps show potential attendance zone options that are under consideration. Each of these maps has the red outline showing the planning units discussed previously, along with the number of students projected to live in each planning unit and each potential attendance zone in the fall of 2016, 2020, and 2024. These maps also show the breakdown of student population in each attendance zone by economically disadvantaged students and by ethnicity. The first step in developing zoning scenarios is to start placing students in the school closest to their homes. In this first scenario, all of Newport subdivision was sent to Newport Elementary. The majority of Central Crosby was sent to Crosby Elementary. The bulk of Barrett Station was sent to Drew Elementary, and the neighborhoods around the southeast of Barrett Elementary were sent to Barrett. It's important to keep in mind that each campus can accommodate up to about 700 to 750 students. The first glaring issue with Scenario A is that Newport Elementary would have far too many students, 1,100 in the first year, compared to its capacity of only 750 students. On the other hand, Drew and Barrett would only have a little over 300 students each. This disparity between extreme overcrowding at one school and empty seats at the other schools clearly shows that this is not a viable zoning option. However, it was included here to answer the anticipated question, why isn't all of Newport going to Newport Elementary? Scenario B attempts to provide a more reasonable student population at Newport Elementary by sending the southern portion of Newport community to Crosby Elementary. Likewise, this scenario tries to pull more students into Drew and Barrett. Some of the feedback we have heard from the community has been that Barrett Station wants to be kept together in a single school. Scenario B therefore sends all of Barrett Station community to Drew Elementary. This includes sending Cedar Grove and Dreamland Place subdivisions to Drew Elementary, planning units 11C and 11D, even though these subdivisions flank Barrett Elementary. While general attendance zone philosophy suggests that the neighborhood next to Barrett Elementary should attend Barrett Elementary, this scenario is offered in response to community interest, and indeed more community feedback should likely determine the ultimate outcome for these neighborhoods. Scenario B still has far more students in Newport and Crosby Elementary than in Drew and Barrett Elementary, so the next 4 scenarios offer various ways to piece this puzzle together, trying to better balance utilization among all 4 schools. Scenario C tries to accomplish this goal by pulling students from planning units 6B and 10B into Drew Elementary, and pulling the planning units from the far northeast of the district into Barrett Elementary. This scenario succeeds in bringing Drew's population up to 450 students in the first year, and Barrett up to over 500 students in the first year. This scenario pulls quite a few students out of Crosby Elementary, leaving it with only 450 students in the first year. But this zone also includes a high growth area that is projected to gain around 200 students over the next decade. The next scenario attempts to address the issue created in Scenario C, in which Planning Unit 4A students north of town east of Miller Wilson Road have to drive through town and pass Crosby Elementary in order to attend Barrett. In Scenario D, these students would attend Crosby Elementary School. Scenario E attempts to address the projected growth and eventual overcrowding at Newport Elementary School. The previous three scenarios, B, C, and D, have Newport opening with 740 students, but growing in the next gate to almost 800 students. Scenario E pulls a few more students out of Newport Elementary, those living east of FM 2100, in planning units 1C and 1D, and into Crosby Elementary. Scenario E brings Newport Elementary and Crosby Elementary both to manageable sizes, both in the short term and in the long term. Finally, Scenario F was developed in answer to the question, how can we get more than 450 students into Drew Elementary? The geography of Drew Elementary relative to Barrett Elementary and the locations of the student population make this a challenge. Scenario F pulls Planning Unit 13B into Drew Elementary, which includes the students living along FM 1942 in the southeasternmost section of the school district. These students will likely need to drive past Barrett Elementary in order to attend Drew Elementary, but that has to be balanced against the benefits of better utilizing the Drew campus. Although my goal is to have a recommendation to the Crosby ISD School Board as soon as possible, I will work deliberately and diligently with the zoning committee to come up with the best plan for our community. The secret is out about Crosby. In my 5 years here, I've grown to proudly believe that I live in the best community on earth. Apparently others are figuring out that as well, as our population continues to hit all-time highs. I know change is difficult, but the transition to these neighborhood schools is not only a necessity to operate a school system that can handle growth efficiently, but it will also provide for a stronger academic structure for our children. I know that any zoning plan chosen will come with both praise and dissatisfaction, but please know that we are working diligently to provide a strong school system to this outstanding community. I personally appreciate all of the support that Crosby and Barrett Station show to our schools and our kids. It is a privilege serving this community. That concludes this presentation, and thank you again for taking the time to review it with me. This presentation and all the maps included in it are linked on the Crosby ISD homepage so that you can review them at your leisure. A form is also included on the Crosby ISD homepage if you would like to provide us with your feedback in regards to the maps that you've seen in front of you in this presentation. Again, thank you for your continued support of our schools and our kids. I look forward to your input. Go Cougars!